Okay, so this is day one, right? And in day one, I simply explained you simple concepts of Java, right? How you can download Java, right? And how you can configure Selenium, how you can download the jars of Selenium, and how you can put them in the day one project. Okay, fine. Now we'll move ahead from here. Okay, and I'll create a new Java project, right? And I'll call this project as, just a minute, right? Day two. Okay, and is my screen stuck up, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Can you show one more time how to put the batch ID on?
When you log in into your account, okay. When you log in into your account, on the right side, you will see various colorful links. One of the links will be click here for online batch recordings. You click on that, enter your batch ID, and you will be able to see. Right now, I have not added the batch ID. Please note, right now, I have not added the batch ID. Fine. So you will actually not get the ID. You will not get the batch details right now.
Okay.
Okay, so after the class, I'll be creating the batch ID in my database, and then you will be able to watch the videos. For the video of yesterday's class, yes, that is also important. Moving ahead, right? Moving ahead, I have made this project day two. I'm sharing my screen, right? In Eclipse, I made the project day two. In day one, what all we had covered? We had actually seen how we can download Selenium jars, what is the concept of jar file, okay, and how you can download jars and you can configure them in your project. All right. Now, after you have downloaded the jars, okay, you need to work with Selenium. To work with Selenium, you need to understand the concepts of object-oriented programming first. What is an object? Okay, what is static? What is non-static? Right? When we write the function main, we write public static void main. What is static out here? Okay, fine. So for that, I'll just give you a small example. Fine. If I create a new class over here, okay, a class known as, say, company. A very simple example. Okay, now what a company has a name, the name of the company, int number of employees, right? So this is a company class, okay, having two properties. The first property is name and the second property is number of employees. Okay, right, and you know, it's got no main function, nothing, right? Okay, now I'll create a new class known as, say, just a class known as test with the main function, right? Now what I'll do is that in this main function is executable. Okay, main function is the function in which the control comes up for the first time when you run the program. All right, so when I hold on. So out here, okay, out here, what I'm going to do is that in the main function, I'm going to create the object of company class. How do you create the object? You write over here, new company. Now, what do you mean by writing new company over here? Okay, what do you mean by creating an object? What happens when you create the object? How is it useful? Right? Okay, now, first thing is what happens right? What happens when you write new company? When you write this, then inside the memory, okay, an object is created for the company class. Okay, for the company class, the object is created, and in this object, right, there are two variables, name and number of employees. They come up. Okay, a memory space is allocated which has got two parameters. Okay, name and number of employees. Okay, right, fine. So if I write this 3 times, okay, then 3 different objects are created. Okay, in this case 3 different objects will be created, right? Every object can have, just a minute, my screen is stuck. Just 1 minute, my mouse is stuck. Just a minute. Yeah, so every object will have its own name and number of employees. Name and number of employees. Every object will have name and number of employees. Right? Okay. Now, what is the advantage of this? Right? The advantage is that I'll tell you. What I'll do is that I'll write like this. I'll write company C1 equals to new company. Company C2 and company C3. Okay. So what will happen is that there will be 3 references. These are known as object references. It will be C1, C2, C3. Okay. So C1 will point towards, I'm not sure what's happening. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Like, my mouse is getting stuck. Right. So as I was telling you, you will have 3 objects. Okay, C1, C2, C3, these are not objects. C1, C2, C3 are known as object references. Okay, they point towards the object. With these C1, C2 and C3, you can change the state of an object. Okay, every object has got 2 parameters, right? The parameters are there in the company class, name and number of employees. Okay, now what I can do is that I can write, say, C1 dot name is company A. I can give a different parameter, a different value to each and every object. C2 dot name is company B. C3 dot name is company C. Okay. Right. So C1 dot name is company A, C2 dot name is company B, and C3 dot name is company C. Right. So there are 3 companies with the references C1, C2, and C3. Okay, with the names A, B, and C. So I have given a different name to every company. The first company, this is A, the name is A. Hold on. Just a minute. Yes. This is A, this is B, and this is C. So I can give a different value to every parameter in each object. Okay, it's like something like virtualization, right? You have just two parameters of in this class, name and number of employees, but by creating the object of a class, right, you can give any object any value, right? Okay, now moving ahead, every object like in Selenium, okay, for example, if I make this project Selenium enabled, I'll introduce the jar files. I will add the jar files of Selenium in this project, right? So under reference libraries, you'll see the Selenium jar files. Okay, so now what I can do is that I can write like this, say new Firefox driver. I can create the object of a class known as Firefox driver. Firefox driver is a class inbuilt inside Selenium. It is available in one of these jar files. Okay, company was a class which I had made myself. Okay, company was a class which I had made myself, right? But Firefox driver class is something which has already been created and it's there in these jar files of Selenium. Okay, I can import this class. You have to import it. You move the mouse over there and select import. You can import it. Fine. Now, as soon as you create the object of Firefox driver class, fine, in Selenium, like I had created the object of company, I have not given it any reference, right? I have just created the object. If I run this program, you see that, right? A blank Firefox opens up. Right? Fine. So this is how it works. Okay, this is how it works. This is how the object creation works. Just by creating the object, this inbuilt class somehow opened up a blank Firefox. Now, how does it open up? You really don't want to. You really don't need to worry. And that's what the whole trick is. The whole trick is that inside Selenium, everything is inbuilt. You need to understand the commands. Right? To understand those commands, you need to understand the concepts of object-oriented programming. Right? Now, if I go to the company class and if I add a function over here, say public void manufacture. Okay. Inside it, I will write system.out.println company manufacturing. Okay, number of and I'll print the name of the company. Right. Okay. So in the test class, I can call the function as well. If I write c1 dot manufacture. Now manufacture is a function. It will be there inside every company. Okay, every company will have, or every object, sorry, every object will have the manufacture function. Okay, so it's going to be there in every object. Fine. So if I write c1 dot manufacture, so c1 will call the manufacture function. If you hit the control button of your keyboard, okay, if you hit the control button of your keyboard and move the mouse over this manufacture, it will look like a link. Keep the control button in the hold position. And if you click on this, the control will go inside this function. This is a very important thing because when you read a complex program, you can actually navigate to the functions and all this way. Okay, so it will navigate you to this function and it will, when you run this, let me run this. Okay, I'll show you. When you run this, it will say print company manufacturing A, because C1 has called it. If C2 had called it and if C3 had called it, then it would have been printing company manufacturing A, then B, and then C. Okay, so it works like this. Fine, it will first print A, then it will print B, then it will print C, because the corresponding object reference is calling the function. Okay, and the function, it is printing the name. The name will be for the corresponding object reference. Okay, right. Fine. Now moving ahead. Right. Now this is about creating a simple object, and every object will have few parameters inside it. The parameters are defined in the class. Right. Now in the class there can be two types of parameters or functions. One is of the type static, one is of the type non-static. Okay, now this is known as a static global variable because it is present on the top globally. This is also known as the static global variable. This is known as non-static global variable. Okay, right. I'm sorry. This should be non. My mind was somewhere else. I'm sorry. This is a non-static global variable. All the things are non-static global variables, and this is a non-static function. My mind was somewhere else.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So non-static global variable, non-static global variable, and non-static function. If I declare something static over here, static, say int x. Now what is this static? Okay, static is something which is common for all the objects. Okay, right. Static is something which will be common for all the objects. For example, if I can also have a static function. For example, public static void pay tax. Every company has to pay, say, tax. Right. Okay. So if I don't make this function static, what will happen? Right. Each and every object will be calling it separately. Okay. But if I make it static, there is no need. Right. What will happen is that this function goes somewhere in the memory over here, and it becomes the like every object can access it. You can say in raw terms, every object can access static. Static is something which is common for everyone. It is not the property of the object. It is outside the object, common for the complete class, everything. Right? And to access it, you can directly access it with the name of the class. That is company dot paytax. Or if there is a static variable, fine. If I have a static int x variable, okay, so I can directly call it with the company name company dot x, say equals to 0. So you can call it with the object as well. You can write that c1 dot paytax, but it is actually discouraged to do it like this. You will get a yellow line underneath. If you can see that, that's known as a warning. Okay, it is discouraged to use it like this. Generally, the static variables and functions have to be called with the class name. For example, there is an inbuilt class in Java known as system. If you write system dot, okay, there are a lot of functions. For example, one of the function is get property. Okay, if I write user dot dir, hold on, string, say string s equals to this and print s. System is a class, and inside it there is a System is a class, and inside the system class there is a function known as getProperty. This function is a static function. That's why I am able to call it with the name of the class. You see, when I move my mouse over this function, I get the documentation public static string. This is a static function inside the inbuilt class in Java system. Okay, and I get with the property user.dir. When I run this, it will print the current path of the project. Okay, which is there in your workspace, that which path is the project in your PC, right? So this is what static is. Static can be called directly without creating the object class, right? Okay, now even if I write over here, say Firefox driver dot, you will see lot of static things under it. We'll see what these are. I told you, right, that Firefox driver is an inbuilt class. Inside this inbuilt class, there are various static things. Fine. So you can access these static things inside the class as well. Right. Now, moving ahead. Okay. Moving ahead, if I hold on. If I create the objects and tell you what various driver, let me explain the various driver classes and how they are used and how the objects are created in Selenium. The various drivers in Selenium. Okay, right, hold on. Let me open the documentation of Selenium. Okay, I'll go to the official website seleniumhq.org. Right, and if you click on the download link, you will see the Java doc present out here. Java doc is nothing but the documentation of Selenium. Okay, in this documentation, hold on. Just a minute. There are various, these are all the classes, and just a minute. You see these classes, these are known as the driver classes over here. Okay, what is interface WebDriver? I'll come over to it after some time. But these are the various classes in Selenium. Like for example, we talked about Firefox driver. Okay, if I create the object, if I write over here new Firefox driver, right, it will open a blank Firefox window. If I give it a reference, Firefox driver F1 equals to new Firefox driver, F1 will point towards that object. Okay, it's known as the object reference. With F1, you can access all the non-static things inside Firefox driver. See, there are so many inbuilt functions inside a Firefox driver. If I use F1.get, the get function, the get function will take you to a certain URL. You can write the URL like http yahoo.com. Right. So when you run this program, a browser will open up and it will take you to yahoo.com. You see that? Okay, fine. Right. Mentioning the protocol is very important. It is not like QTP. Okay, QTP or UFT, what you say. If you in UFT, if you don't even mention the protocol, it doesn't matter, right? But in Selenium, if you run this, it will open the browser and it will throw an error. Okay, right? So please make sure that you do enter the protocol, right? Similarly, right, there are many other functions. If I want to close the browser, you use the quit function, you end the Firefox driver session. Right, we will talk about more functions as we proceed. Right. Similarly, there is a class known as Chrome driver. As the name suggests, you need to create the object of this driver class to work on Chrome. Okay, I'll comment out this code. If you put double slash in front of any line, that line gets disabled in Java. Okay, so you create the Chrome driver object, right? Fine, and as expected, this will open up Chrome. If you run this, most of you will get the error, illegal state exception. Okay, right. The issue is that you need to do few extra steps or few extra procedures before you open up Chrome, right? What you need to do is that, hold on, you open up Chrome, you need to, hold on, go to the download link, go under the download link over here under in seleniumhq.org, right? Out here, you will have the third-party browser drivers. Okay, right? And these are all the browser drivers, right? For Windows Phone is also there. Selendroid is also there. Selendroid is a new tool which is used for Android and iOS as well. iOS is not supported to that great extent, but I have not been having a very good experience with this. Okay, it's a very bad tool. A lot of things they don't work in it. Right. Rather than that, there's a famous tool known as Appium, which is there for mobile. For mobiles, the best that's the best tool which I have found till date. Appium. Right. So, okay, why is main function static? I'll tell you in some time. Right. So for Chrome, you go to this Chrome browser driver, and the next page will open up. You go to downloads and hold on. Yes, you go to this link. I'll give you the link on the chat as well as on the group. Out here, you go to the latest version and download Chrome driver.zip file, whatever is the zip file for your OS. If you have a 64-bit OS in Windows, you can download this 32-bit zip file. That is not a problem. Okay, I have downloaded it and extracted it, and it's over here. Yes, this is the Chrome driver exe file which I have downloaded. Right, and what you can do is you can write a line over here. System, you have to set a system property. System.set property WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver to the value f drive Chrome driver dot exe. Okay, right. So you need to set the system property. If I run this now, you'll see that the Chrome will open. Fine. Right. If you want to navigate Chrome to any website, you can write c1 dot get to the URL, say HTTP again, yahoo.com. So when you run this, right? Okay, so this is how it works. Fine. Similarly, there are other drivers, right? Drivers like internet.
Sorry to bother you, Ashish. Can you
Yes.
tell me about one more time, like a system.set property, the first line down right there? Thank you.
Praveen, it's opening Chrome. Look, you need to put a system property WebDriver.Chrome.driver and equate it to the path of ChromeDriver.exe, which you have downloaded. This is mandatory in case of Chrome. Okay, you don't need to run that exe, you just need to put the path.
Okay, system.set property is an inbuilt class, right?
This is a class and this is the function inside that class. It's a static function, that's why you are able to call it.
Inbuilt
Okay.
of
System is a class, and in that there are a lot of functions. All of the functions are static. One of the functions is set property. Okay, this can be called directly with the name of the class because there are a lot of static functions inside the class. Okay, now Internet Explorer driver, as the name suggests, this class is for I, right? Okay, but for working with I, you need to have various things. Hold on. Right, you need to, just a minute. Right, let us create the object of this class first. Okay, let us. System is a class. System is a class, and inside it there are lot of functions, static functions. That's why I'm able to call it with the name of the class dot. Static can be called directly with the name of the class, right? I just told you.
No, Ashish, I just wanted to know what is method. You're saying these are the functions. I wanted to know what.
Methods are same, the same word. Like it doesn't matter. You say method or you say function.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so right, Internet Explorer driver, say I equals to new Internet Explorer driver. Again, in I also, if you run this, it will not execute. It will throw an error. For I as well, you need to download an exe, right? You see that the Internet Explorer driver server. For your I, if your I is 32, not the OS. If the I is 32-bit I, or if the I is 64-bit I, you can download the exe for I. Right, I have kept it over here. iDriver server, I've downloaded and kept the exe in my F drive. Right. So what you have to do is that you again have to write the same line, but instead of WebDriver.Chrome.driver, WebDriver.I.driver. This is a system property which you have to set before opening I, right? And I did it manually. I did it. You have to do it manually. Okay, and you have to give the name of iDriver server.exe. Right. So when I run this, I will open. Right. If your I does not open, hold on. Let me run this again. Right. So if your I does not open, right, there can be various wrong settings on your machine. If I uncomment this and if I run it, it will open all the three browsers. Okay, I have commented the above code. Right, hold on, I'll come over to it. right? So if your eye doesn't open, there can be various reasons, right? First reason can be the zoom settings should be set to 100% in eye. Make sure that the zoom settings in eye, it is set to 100%. Okay. The second is that you go to tools, internet options, and go to, hold on, where was it? Yeah, go to security. Yes. In security, you will see these four options: internet, local internet, trusted sites, restricted sites. Okay. Make sure that this leveler over here is at the same location for all these four. Only if the eye is not opening. Okay, the leveler in all the four should be at the same location if eye is not opening. Right. Eye gives issues at times, and the issues are very bad issues. Right. People get stuck like anything with eye. Right. And yes, as the question was being asked, if I uncomment this, yes, then everything will open in one go. See, Firefox opens, right? And after that, Chrome will open. You see that? And after that, eye has opened, right? Okay, fine. So there is some issue coming up. I'll fix that after the class. Hold on. Now, one thing, guys. In Selenium, look, if you don't need to type in the complete word Internet Explorer driver, even if I write just this much, say INTE, and if I hit Control Spacebar of my keyboard, it will give me all the names of the classes which are starting with the word INTE. Control Spacebar. INTER, enter. So it will keep on filtering the classes after that. Okay. Right, so this is also an important thing, because I also don't know everything. I just write FIRE and hit Control Spacebar, and then I select FIRE. Okay, this is one of the shortcuts. All right, fine. Now, one thing which was being asked: why is the main function static? Okay, look, it is static. What is static? Static can be accessed without creating the object of the class. This is clear, right? Static can be accessed directly with the name of the class. Okay. So when Java has to execute this class, it has to call the main function, right? So the main function is static, so that Java will not create the object of this class and call the main function. It will simply write like the name of the class drivers underscore selenium dot main. Okay, this is the reason when it's static, so that the Java will not create the object of this class to call the main function. Okay, right. Now there are many other drivers as well. Like there is a driver. Let me go into the documentation. Say Opera driver is for Opera. Again, it is unstable. Lot of problems are there. Okay. Safari driver is for Safari. Again, Safari driver is also unstable. Right. Remote WebDriver is used for grid. When we use grid, okay, we use remote WebDriver. All right. And there is one more, HTML unit driver. This is interesting. Okay, if I create the object of say HTML unit driver D1 equals to new HTML unit driver. Okay, and if I write d1.get, go to the URL http bbc.com, right? System.out.println d1.get title. Get title is the function which will get you the title of the page, right? I can comment the complete code from here to here using this symbol. If you use this slash star and star slash. This will comment everything between that, between the symbols, right? And HTML unit driver, when you run this program, you will not see any browser opening. Okay, but see, it prints the title of the page, BBC homepage. It's very fast. It does everything behind the scenes in a headless mode, you can say. That it sends the request to the BBC server, it gets the response. Again, if you want to click on a link somewhere on BBC, you can do that. It will not open the browser, but it will test it silently by sending the request and response to the server. Okay, right. If you have a Unix-based system or a shell, for example, where you don't, like command prompt is there, right? The complete shell is there in Unix, right? Where you don't have the browsers installed, and if you want to test, you can use HTML unit driver. Okay, and it's very fast as compared to the other drivers. It is very, very fast. Fine. So looks a little weird, but yes, it is there. It is there in Selenium. You can silently send the request, get the response and all. Okay, so our whole class or our whole course will go around these driver classes. Okay, we'll be creating the objects dynamically and we'll be moving forward. Fine, but does that mean that we have to learn each and every driver class separately? Each and every driver object which I have created over here has got some list of functions. These are the functions Firefox driver. These are the functions in Chrome driver. Okay, will we be learning each and every driver class separately? The answer to that is no, and it will get more clear when I tell you the concept of interfaces in Java language. In object-oriented programming, there is a concept of interfaces. How can we use the mobile driver? Selenium is not for mobile. Praveen's support has been excluded. Okay, initially they tried to include, but they were not successful. For mobile, the best tool is Appium. Okay, right, for iOS as well as Android-based applications. Okay, it is built on top of Selenium.
Yeah, actually, we can simulate that mobile view in our Chrome driver. So
you can simulate the mobile view, but that is only for web-based applications.
Yes. So
if you have a native or a hybrid app, you cannot automate the app.
Yeah, no, my question is that if we simulate that mobile view in the Chrome, so can we use the Chrome driver as a mobile driver?
Yes, you can use it. That is known as changing the user agent. Okay, it's explained in the module 43 as well in the pre-recorded sessions, right? But you know, you will not be able to run the script on mobile. Never. Okay, it will be only on the browser itself over here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
For this HTTP unit driver, we are not creating system.set property.
No, we don't need to create it for this, and even for Firefox, we don't need it. That's how Selenium is built.
And that import function also we are not writing for everything.
We have to. We are importing all the drivers on the top. Okay. Right. So whatever classes you are using inbuilt classes, you need to import them. Right. So the next concept will be the object-oriented programming, the interfaces, the concept of interfaces in object-oriented programming. That will give you a better insight. Right. So I'll stop here for today. Okay.